There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy, lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
Oh, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing is important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingram and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jacques Villeneuve, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna, you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Ray Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality and Trade Price Cars.
There's a famous saying from the movie Reservoir Dogs, time to go to work. It is basically the moment of truth for our IAME class drivers in each of the 4 categories across junior, senior, IAME cadet and mini X30 classes. It is time for round 9 of the Motorsport UK British Car Championships from the gorgeously sunny Three Sisters circuit in Ashton in Makerfield in Wigan in the northwest of England. Jake Sanson here from the first position on the starting grid as we look towards that very fast first corner. It is very nearly 15:15 BST and time for us to get cracking. Wherever you may be listening, whether you're trackside here at Three Sisters or listening round the world via Downforce Radio, we are going to have an absolutely fantastic day of race action in the closing stages of this 9th round of the championship. It's the business end of the Motorsport UK British Car Championship season, and across these 4 categories, we're going to get one step closer to crowning 4 IAME champions in the 2019 karting season. It's going to be a very tough fight here at Three Sisters, a fast-flowing and incredibly adhesive track with lots of overtaking opportunities for the wily contender. But there's also a lot of wheel-to-wheel action and drama, as we've already seen across the 8 races so far today in each of the pairs of heats across the 4 classes. We've had some brilliant racing from each of the different categories. So far, it has been all about Oliver Gray and Freddie Spindlow in Junior X30 this morning. They picked up a win apiece across the heats. Nobody's been able to stop the rise of Danny Curl in Senior X30 over the course of the day here at Three Sisters. And obviously from the earlier races in IAME Cadet, it's been a very tough battle as well, with a very impressive result for young Ella Stevens, who picks up her first ever British Kart Championship race victory in the 2nd heat of the day. Really impressive work from her. And of course, we also saw some brilliant racing from Jessica Edgar, another fast female in the field in Mini X30 earlier on today. So there's some great race action to come, and we'll start with the first final of the day, and that is the Junior X30 final. 15 minutes on the clock, plus the additional bonus lap. And it's going to be a very tough race to call, because you have the likes of Oliver Gray, the Kartmasters Grand Prix winner, in front of Freddie Spindlow on the front of the grid, as they started from time qualifying. So those two have never been off the front 2 positions of the grid over the course of these first few races. Alessandro Saranetti, the Italian, has been in 3rd position pretty much all day, and he remains there. The drivers are sent out onto the circuit, so now they will do the lap and a half formation to bring them onto the start-finish straight. So here's the grid in full for this Junior X30 final. It is Oliver Gray and Freddie Spindlow on the front row of the grid, from Alessandro Saranetti and Ivan Lomliev. Georgia Dimitrov and Japanese Douglas Bolger. Then Aidan Neat in his first weekend in Junior X30, having climbed up from IAME Cadet. 7th on the grid, along with Tom Levin in 8th. Caden McQueen is 9th, and Daniel Ginchard in his first weekend for Strawberry Racing is P10. Welcome back to Archie Walker. He lines up 11th on the grid from Sam Hawthorne, 12th. Josh McLean is 13th along with Joseph Taylor. Then Tyler Reid and Aaron Walker from Zach Meakin. And the new recruit at Mick Barrett Racing, that is Josh Rowledge. Max Mear and Archie Mace come next from Oliver Duffel. And the privateer on the gold chassis, Dan Butterworth. James Walker is there along with Blake Anglis. The Jamaican star Kalai Atkins for Crop Promotion alongside Will Murdoch. Marcus Littlewood on the Spirit of Senna kart from Daryl Taylor. The Polish driver Kasper Skutza. Then Oscar Joyce, Alex Moody and AJ Walker for Dan Holland Racing complete the grid. So the 32 drivers are ready in formation as they get ready to battle and duel around the circuit in Junior X30. What a final this is going to be. And of course, it will take us one step closer to crowning a British champion. A lot at stake for the drivers. They come off the final hairpin in a decent formation. I think this is going to be a clean start straight away. Here at Three Sisters, the engine revs rise. Are we racing? We certainly are. And away we go to the first corner. Freddie Spinlow gets the early start as they make their way to the first corner. The drivers try and get through in a neat formation through that first hairpin. There's a little bit of jostling for position in the midfield, but it looks as though everybody's pretty much made it through okay. And as they go over the top of the crest of the hill, up towards the final chicane, Oliver Gray holds the advantage, having initially lost out to Spinlow and has now managed to get himself back into position. So they go through the tight right-hander of the pits, and there's contact. It looks as though there's been an issue. No, sorry, we've had a little spin there up at the hairpin on the way out of the pit straight. Two or three drivers coming together and one of them spinning in avoidance down to the back of the field. I think it's Sam Hawthorne who managed to spin away and avoid the issue. So Sam Hawthorne now sadly drops to the back of the field as a result. Oliver Gray, your leader from Freddie Spindle and Alessandro Serenetti. Douglas Bolger up into fourth position, the Japanese driver, already starting to charge after his teammate Serenetti. And as they go up over the top of the crest, there's some great racing. Oh, there's been some damage there. And that looks like damage to Archie Walker's kart, the 91. The front fairing is all over the shop. And the Nassau, he's up in the air as well. So he unfortunately takes the long route round the outside of the top of the hill. And he is now out of the race. That is devastating for Archie Walker on his return. So hopefully he'll have that same speed in qualifying tomorrow as he showed this morning. And he can do it all again. But he's out of the race on the first lap. So out of the final turn to complete the second lap, it is the GP plate of Gray in front of Spindlow, Serenetti, Bolger, Lomliev, Levin, Dimitrov, Aidan Eaton 8 from McQueen and Ginchard, McLean, Walker, Rowledge, Meakin, Murdoch, Anglis and Marcus Littlewood, who has made up 10 places as a result of all of that jockeying for position in the early stages. Across the old pit straight comes Oliver Gray with Freddie Spindlow still all over the back of him, then Serenetti, then Douglas Bolger. A really exciting battle in the top four, and in fifth position that is Ivan Lomliev for Coles Racing, trying to stay with them. Up to the closing sector of the lap and in through the flowing left-hander, then braking for the right. That looks like Bolger trying to get the move on Serenetti out of the final turn. They go down the main straight, and Spindlow's got a run on Oliver Gray. Looks like he could make the move for the lead. In fact, Gray has to get defensive to hold on in front of Spindlow. So Gray going defensive in the first corner very early on in this race, but knowing, of course, that there's going to be... now there's been an issue in the middle of the circuit. Two karts seem to have come off at the same point on the circuit there. That is Archie Mace and Kalai Atkins. So unfortunately, the Jamaican is out of the race pretty much on the spot. Archie Mace has got going again. Now, I don't know whether they hit each other or not, but they've certainly tangled in the same part of the racetrack. Through the left-hander and up towards the hairpin again. Round that long flowing right hairpin bend, and Spindlow's got another great run on Oliver Gray, but if he doesn't get through this time, then there's a very good chance that Serenetti's going to get a chance. Gray pulls right across and up to fifth position. That's a lovely move from Tom Levin as he gets through on Lomliev. So Lomliev is down to sixth position. Tom Levin makes his move up into fifth position, and it looks as though Serenetti's getting impatient, sat behind Gray and Gray and Spindlow as they battle away for position. And it looks to me as though they finally managed to clear Kalai Atkins' kart. So he is there at the marshal post watching the rest of the action. But out in front it is still Oliver Gray from Spindlow, Serenetti, Bolger, Levin and Lomliev in seventh position closing up. That looks to me like Georgi Dimitrov who dominated the first 2 rounds at PF International. Here comes Spinlow, side by side with Oliver Gray, and surely this time he's going to get the lead into the first corner. He does! And Freddie Spinlow takes the lead here at Three Sisters. They go through the S's, up over the top of the crest, along that fast-flowing right-hander, then into the chicane, and in through that long-flowing right-hand hairpin, along the old pit straight. So Spinlow is your leader now from Gray, Serenetti and Bolger. Tom Leben's closed up on them, so he's there in 5th position. Then we've got Ivan Lomliev trying to hang on in front of Georgi Dimitrov. Next is Caden McQueen in 8th position, and then it's the 20 of Aidan Neat. Aidan Neat doing a fantastic job in 9th place in Junior X30 in his first ever weekend in the British Championship as a junior. He's 2nd in the point standings at IAME Cadet at the moment. But he won't be able to fight for that title now that he's stepped up to junior, as Levin makes the move on the inside of Bolger of the first corner. So Levin takes the position away from Douglas Bolger, and that puts Levin into 4th position. So now the 2 leaders, Spinlow and Gray, still trying to stretch an advantage from Serenetti. Levin up to 4th, Bolger 5th, and at the inside, Gray goes for Spinlow, doesn't make it. Makes the move on the inside line, but Spinlow very quick to shut the door. So they hop over the curbs of the S's on the middle of the circuit. Then Serenetti in 3rd from Levin, Bolger. And then in 6th position, we've still got Lomliev fighting away with Dimitrov. Caden McQueen, Aidan Neat, and Dan Ginchard in his first weekend for Strawberry there in 10th position. Here comes Spinlow and Gray, down the main straight again. An amazing squabble as now Bolger defends valiantly to hold on in front of both Lomliev and Dimitrov, and holds on to 5th position. Lomliev trying again up over the crest. Is he through this time? No, Douglas Bolger very determined to keep the place and hangs on to 5th position through the hairpin. And now there's going to be a bit of a challenge as Serenetti tries to hang on from Tom Levin in 3rd position. And Oliver Gray is back into the lead in front of Freddie Spinlow. He's made the move, so Oliver Gray has retaken the lead. So with Oliver Gray now back in front, it's obviously going to be a tricky race from here on in as he tries desperately to hold on to him, Freddie Spinlow. And Spinlow has led the race, as so too has Oliver Gray, so these two are clearly the class act of the field. Here comes Tom Levin, up the inside of Serenetti, takes 3rd position, and Lomliev gets past Bolger for 5th. So Levin into 3rd, Lomliev into 5th position, Bolger trying to come back at him straight away, there in 6th position. So a very exciting challenge already through the field, but this is going to continue to get more and more exciting as the race plays out, no doubt. So very exciting and very tense stuff. That is for certain. The drivers will continue their battle. So as it stands at the moment, Oliver Gray would take a lead of the championship of 529 before drop scores, with McQueen on 506, Dimitrov on 505, and then Josh McLean on 494, with Serenetti overtaking Rowledge and Joe Taylor, up to 5th on 483 now, because he's lost another place. And that, of course, is to Tom Levin. Lomliev in 5th position, Bolger 6th, then in 7th place in this race. It is still a very hard charge from Georgi Dimitrov. Then Caden McQueen being caught by Aidan Neat, who is pushing very hard. So Aidan Neat is trying to get his way further forward. And then up into 10th place has come Josh McLean. He's made the move, as too has Aaron Walker on his teammate Dan Ginchard, who is there in 12th position. 13th place, that is Josh Rowledge in his new berth on the Mick Barrett racing kart. Then it is the 81, that is Zach Meakin in front of Murdoch, Littlewood, Taylor, Anglis, Scusa, AJ Walker, Darryl Taylor, Tyler Reid, Dan Butterworth, Alex Moody, Mia, Joyce and Mace, with Duffel out. So too Sam Hawthorne, James Walker, Kalai Atkins and Archie Walker. All of them out of the race. Now, over the top of the crest, Spinlow's made another push to go for Oliver Gray. Gray has shut the door firmly in his face. He's not going to let him get through. But there is a very strong urgency now from Freddie Spinlow to get back past Oliver Gray. So this is going to get very spicy from here on in. Looks as though there's going to be a tall battle for Spinlow to get back through. Meanwhile, Serenetti's been caught by Lomliev, Bolger and Dimitrov. So this could be a very interesting one for the Italian as he desperately tries to hang on in front of Lomliev, who's finally finding the pace we've seen from him in various sessions through the year, but he's not been able to transform it into a decent race result. Gray is going defensive, meanwhile, on Spinlow. So Gray is having to play the defensive card here. No major surprises. He's the championship leader. He does not want to lose out to Freddie Spinlow. Spinlow, meanwhile, has not got a chance really of becoming British champion, but he wants to finish the season on a high in preparation for next year. So he would love to beat Oliver Gray and pick up a couple of decent trophies from the weekend. Meanwhile, we've lost Daryl Taylor. Taylor has retired from the race, unfortunately. So his race is over, and that really isn't what he wanted out of this weekend. So a very exciting battle nonetheless, but it's not going to be for him. Now Spindlow's going to make the move again on Oliver Gray. Gray is holding that inside line so tightly. He does not want to give way. As up to fourth has come Lomliev. Lomliev's made the move on Serenetti. And so Lomliev is now up into fourth place past Serenetti. His teammates Bolger and Dimitrov are not far away. Then McQueen, Aidan Neate, Josh McLean, Aaron Walker, Dan Ginshaw, Josh Rowledge, Zach Meakin and Will Murdoch. And now it's a three-way fight for the victory. Because Spindlow can't get past Gray and Gray is clearly holding him up, there's a chance now for Tom Levin. He's there in third position on the comp car in the Mark Litchfield Racing colours. He's got a great chance to move his way forward now. So let's see if Oliver Gray can hang on to the victory in front of Freddie Spindlow and Tom Levin, who's charging his way forward. Across the main straight line they come, and the GP plate has been given a warning flag. That is Oliver Gray. So the race leader is given a warning for his defensive tactics. As up the inside, that looks to be Aidan Neate making the move back on Josh McLean, is it? So Aidan Neate battling away with his teammate Josh McLean and has managed to maintain his ninth position. Although there's a titanic fight for the victory now. Gray, Spindlow and Levin absolutely at each other's throats now. Lomliev in fourth position, then Serenetti, Bolger and Dimitrov. Eighth is Caden McQueen. Ninth battling away, Aidan Neate and Josh McLean in front of Aaron Walker, Dan Ginshard and Josh Rowledge. I think that is now up to 13. So he's there in position. Here we go, side by side. Spindlow's going to make the move on Oliver Gray. Up to the first corner, there's nothing that Ollie Gray can do about that one. Spindlow is through and takes the lead, but it's not done yet. We've still got 4.5 minutes on the clock. There's some brilliant racing from these two. We've had excellent racecraft throughout, and now it's just going to continue through to the finish line the way things are currently stacking up. They come through on the midfield part of the circuit. On the way through, this is going to be very tricky for Spindlow to hold on to. Now he's got the place. Oliver Gray in second has got to try and fight back quickly, otherwise Tom Levin's going to get a shot. Serenetti makes a big bold lunge on the end side of Lomliev through the flat-out left-hander at the end of the lap. Bolger tries to get through as well, he can't make it. Lomliev's through, and so too is Dimitrov. Bolger goes down to the back of the queue in 7th place. Meanwhile, it's defensive city now for Serenetti up to 4th place as Bolger tries again to get past his teammate Georgi Dimitrov. And the Bulgarian's really going to have a job keeping his Japanese teammate behind him at this rate. You've got to remember, in karting, there are no teammates. There are only other racing drivers to beat. As Bolger's made the move, he's got Dimitrov. Brilliant move into 6th position there. So now Bolger into P6. Good bit of racecraft there. And now there's going to be another bit of racecraft for the lead of the race as Spindlow, Gray and Tom Levin are going to battle this out with 3 minutes and 20 or so on the clock. Here comes Oliver Gray. He knows Spindlow that he's going to go for him. On the inside line, he defends, moves to cover, and Gray can't get by. Tom Levin is still right there in position though. So there's a long way still to go as Aaron Walker has made up a couple of places by the look of it. And has made up a couple of places. Well, so too has Josh McLean actually. McLean has got past his teammate Aidan Neate, who is getting used to life in Junior X30 pretty quickly, but is still there in the top 10 in front of Aaron Walker, Dan Ginshard and Josh Rowledge. 3 drivers who have run on the podium this season. So that is no lean feat for Aidan Neate. He's done an amazing job here so far this weekend. Not bad for the cadet runner-up coming into this weekend. Spindlow still leads, Gray still second. He goes to the inside line to defend, thinks he might have a chance on Spindlow and then has to think better of it as Dimitrov gets back past Bolger into the first corner. And further back, there's more great dicing for position as Ginshard has to shut the door on his, what would have been his teammate Rowledge had he not moved to Mick Barrett Racing. So some great battles there in the midfield as well as at the front, but Spindlow holds the lead. A very exciting battle, and he knows what's at stake here. It's never ever going to be easy, especially when you've got the talent of Oliver Gray sat behind you, who currently, of course, leads the Drivers' Championship. So now it's all going to be about patience as they go for the inside line again to defend. Freddie Spindlow, can Gray come back around the outside and gets the place away? Oliver Gray round the outside and takes the lead. Absolutely terrific bit of racecraft there. And what can the man from Stamford do to respond in second place? That was a truly great bit of racecraft from Oliver Gray. He knew Spindler would defend to the inside line, so Gray just stuck it round the outside, held on to everything, and retakes the lead. So with 1:20 still on the clock, Freddie Spindler in second place has now got Tom Leben screaming down his neck trying to come through. So this is going to be a really exciting tussle. It's never too late to go for a big move, but there's definitely going to be a strong attack now from Leben as Spindler is going to get a bit of assistance to close up on Ollie Gray. Meanwhile, the fourth place battle's really kicking off. Lomliev has got back on the inside of Dimitrov to retake the place for fifth position, tucked in behind Serenetti. So there's a battle for the top three, a battle for the lower three in the top six. But Tom Leben's not going to wait around forever here in third position. You can tell he's getting a little bit hungry. So now we're surely going to see the young man from Bury St Edmunds in third position try and charge his way onto the back of Freddie Spindler. But the GP plate holds on to the lead for the time being. It's not going to be too long before we see the last lap board. 2 to go as they cross the line this time. There are 2 laps left. Gray checks over his shoulder and Spindler is still there and he knows it. Spindler's going to go with him. But if Tom Leben is smart, he should be in a strong position to challenge for the victory in the closing stages. He's got time to play with here. He doesn't need to panic yet. This race has absolutely flown by, and the trio up front have been absolutely electric throughout. Gray, Spindler, Leben. Fourth position is really kicking on a pace now. Serenetti in fourth in front of Lomliev, Dimitrov, Bolger, closing up on them, McQueen and McLean. And then up to 10th position, that looks like Aaron Walker in front of Josh Rowledge, Dan Ginchard. And that is, well, what's happened to Aidan Neate? He's dropped back into 14th behind the 93 of Will Murdoch. But he's still there battling with Zach Meakin. Last lap, here we go. Gray defends to the inside line. Spindler's going to try the same move as Gray. It doesn't work. He has to tuck back in behind him. But as far as Spindler is concerned, he's in win it or bin it mode. Gray's in championship conservation mode. He can't afford not to take too many risks. He's got a lead. It's slender, but he leads the championship. And he's got to be very careful about the points concerned. But he holds on in front of Spindler. Leben can't quite get close enough to make the ultimate overtaking move. Serenetti looks safe in fourth position. Lomliev's going to have some pressure to the flag. But in through the final corners, Oliver Gray has done enough. In the final hairpin, Spindler's going to try. He may get a sprint out of the final turn, but it's too late. Oliver Gray's going to take the victory in round 9. Absolutely fantastic. Second for Spindler, third for Leben, fourth for Serenetti in front of Lomliev, Dimitrov, Bolger and McQueen. McLean is ninth, and in 10th across the line is Aaron Walker. An absolutely heroic drive from Oliver Gray, and on his half a lap slowing down, he's had an absolutely heroic punch of his fist there. What a result for Oliver Gray. That now moves him to a very strong position with his two main rivals in the championship, Caden McQueen and Georgi Dimitrov, down the order. McQueen in 8th and Dimitrov in 6th. That gives Oliver Gray 529 points before dropped scores. And incredibly, his two main rivals, McQueen and Dimitrov, are now joint second on 506 points. This is all before dropped scores, of course. Josh McLean is now 4th in the standings on 495. Josh Rowledge has 484 in 5th. And then Serenetti has climbed to 6th in front of Joe Taylor on 483. Tyler Reid is 8th, Tom Leben is 9th, and Aaron Walker is 10th. But it's Oliver Gray who wins the race in front of Freddie Spindler, Tom Leben, Alessandro Serenetti, Ivan Lomliev and Georgi Dimitrov in the top 6. Douglas Bolger, Caden McQueen, Josh McLean and Aaron Walker in the top 10. From Josh Rowledge and Dan Ginchard, Will Murdoch and Aidan Neate. From Zach Meakin and Marcus Littlewood, Joe Taylor, Blake Anglis, Tyler Reid and Dan Butterworth round out the top 20. From Max Meir and Aaron Walker, Oscar Joyce, Casper Scusa and Alex Moody. The retirements are Archie Mace, Darryl Taylor, Oliver Duffel, Sam Hawthorne, James Walker and Kalai Atkins. So a very exciting race for some, a very tricky one for others. But with Junior X30 done and dusted, there's going to be some really exciting battles to come in the Senior X30 race. That is a pivotal victory for Oliver Gray, a very important one in his British Championship season as he goes one step closer to lifting the title. If he has a race like that tomorrow with his rivals Dimitrov and his other close rival Caden McQueen further down the order again, there is a very strong chance that Oliver Gray could even, unbelievably, get into championship-winning mode tomorrow. He could win the title if he continues this kind of bandwagon. It's all going to come down to the dropped scores, so overnight I'm going to have to do some mathematics. Never my favourite topic of the conversation. However, if it goes Oliver Gray's way again tomorrow the same way, then he is likely to walk away from this weekend, even potentially, as the British Junior X30 champion. That is not a bad go for Oliver Gray, considering just 3 weeks ago he won the Kart Masters Grand Prix title, and now he's possibly in contention to become Junior X30 champion. Senior X30 is up next, and it's a very simple question the drivers now need to ask themselves. Can anybody beat Danny Curl?
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you. Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Fine. Then let's race.
Hi, I'm Tom Ingham and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Jake Villeneuve. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Sport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
So from one thrilling encounter to another, the Senior X30 final is up next, and so far this weekend, it's all been about a former world champion at the front end of the field. Danny Curl, the FIA world champion from 2017, which of course he won on home soil 2 years ago. Now he's fighting for contention in the British Championship. As far as Danny Curl is concerned, he's got to be flat out and winning races for the remaining 2 weekends of the championship. This one could go all the way down to the wire at the final round at Wilton Mill. Remember that Danny Curl didn't compete in the first 2 rounds of the championship at PF International. He only joined at Shennington, but he's never been out of the top 3 since then. So he might be the last-minute boy wonder to charge through and grab some points at the end of the season. On dropped scores, his tally is currently fairly low, but of course when we get to the end of the season, he'll be able to drop the 2 PF International races that he lost. So that's going to be a really interesting dynamic when we get to the end of the season. Obviously, he's got to keep it going as long as is humanly possible, and he's done that so far here with 2 heat victories. There's nothing Clayton Ravenscroft has been able to throw at him that will stick. However, the closest challenger to the pair of them is, at the moment, Oliver Hodgson, the PF International driver. He's been absolutely lightning through the course of the weekend so far. He almost grabbed pole position in time qualifying as well. His pace has been absolutely stunning throughout, so it's going to be really intriguing to see what he can do from 5th on the starting grid. It should be a little higher than that, as he's finished third on the road twice. But unfortunately, his first heat, he was docked after receiving a front fairing penalty. So that has dropped him a little way down the order to 5th on the starting grid. However, one man that none of them have reckoned without yet is Alex Pendlebury. He starts 3rd on the grid, knows this circuit like the back of his hand. It's practically his back garden in terms of motor racing prowess, and he's got the knowledge, he's got the know-how around here. And in qualifying, he was ridiculously quick. In racecraft, he's been sensational. So to see him start 3rd on the grid is no joke, and it's going to be really exciting to see what he can do. A podium is possible, maybe even a victory victory, you never know what's going to happen between Curl and Ravenscroft, especially when those two are effectively the two favourites fighting for the championship. Their title fight is not going to really come to a head until we get to Wilton Mill, because obviously there's a 0 score to drop for Danny Curl, but there are points to drop for Clayton Ravenscroft. So it is going to be very intriguing how that works out. Let's do devil's advocate at the moment and say, as things currently are, that there's going to be a perfect score as it currently stands for Danny Curl, and he drops those two 0-point scores. So at the present moment in time, Clayton Ravenscroft on dropped scores currently has 376 points. If you take Danny Curl's total into account as they head out onto the circuit, Danny Curl currently has 384 points. So technically speaking, Danny Curl, although he's 14th in the standings officially on drop scores, is actually currently leading the championship. So he needs to keep pushing and keep doing what he does best. But Clayton Ravenscroft has got to find a way to overhaul him. It's a very tough race from here on in for the title, and Danny Curl wants to be British champion. So here's the grid. Danny Curl and Clayton Ravenscroft on the front row from Alex Pendlebury and Thomas Turner. Then Oliver Hodgson 5th and Matt Armstrong in 6th from Rory Hudson and Nelson King. Mark Kember and Teddy Pritchard-Williams, Morgan Porter and Derek Morgan. Jensen Brown and Gus Lawrence from Louis Westover and the Australian Sean Butcher. Then it's Caleb Marshall and Archie Tillett, Matthew Hudson and Thomas Wood, from Cole Kilner and the Scotsman Jack Gordon, Ben Hodge and the Filipino star Eduardo Cossetang, Callum Driscoll, and a welcome to the British Championship for the Irishman Richard Faulkner, Henry Ayers, Lee Chamberlain, Josh Graham, Abigail Ross, Alexander Wang of Singapore, and Rufus Hunt for Strawberry Racing. It's a very busy grid here in Senior X30. Lots of drivers of varying degrees of experience. A massive congratulations to Richard Faulkner for his performance so far. The Irishman and former Clio Cup UK racer is now here in the British Championship, making his first appearance of the season, aged 37. And he's right up there in the midst with the rest of the young whippersnappers around him. Absolutely brilliant. Some of the guys on this grid are young enough to be his offspring. So it's great to see him battling on a level playing field. Curl, Ravenscroft, Pendlebury, Turner, Hodgson, Armstrong, and it's a false start. False start straight away. So the drivers are going to go around again. Clearly, Nigel Edwards was not particularly happy with the way a couple of the drivers were positioned, and so they will go around again one more time. I have to say, it is absolutely wonderful to be back at Three Sisters. 2013 was the last time the circuit was used for a round of the British Championships, and my goodness me, it is great to be back. It is clear that the improvement the facilities have had made to them, and everyone at Manchester and Buxton Kart Club, the effort they've put in to get this circuit ready for racing. I've just spotted why we are under a false start, and it's because we've lost one of the red speeds. Don't tell me that's Alex Pendlebury. I'm afraid it looks like it is. That is devastating. If that is Alex Pendlebury, we have lost the dark horse at the front of the field, and we have indeed. Third position on the starting grid, and Alex Pendlebury is out. That is devastating. Heartbreaking bad luck for Alex Pendlebury when it could easily have been a fight for victory. So now the two main challengers for the title will battle head to head. Danny Curl and Clayton Ravenscroft. False start again. So for the second lap in a row, it's a false start. But it makes no difference to Alex Pendlebury at all. The Persistence Motorsport driver, very sadly, is out of the race before it even begins. And that, I have to say, is totally and utterly devastating. So, very, very bad luck indeed. And there's very little you can say about it that will make up for the disappointment. But what a shame. It's been a very, very tough race for a lot of the competitors. But now this is, well, it's heartbreaking. So the drivers will now come to the grid once again as they battle away for the top spot. But all eyes are going to be on these two at the front end of the starting grid. Danny Curl, on drop scores, effectively has 384. Clayton Ravenscroft has 376. So there's 8 points between them when you count every round of the championship run so far, if PF International is the round to be dropped for Danny Curl at the end of the season. So it's a tough fight, and the British Championship will be played out over these 2 weekends. Curl, Ravenscroft, Turner, Hodgson, Armstrong, Hudson. Now we go green, and we're racing in the British Championship. Curl gets a flyer. Turner in behind Clayton Ravenscroft. Ravenscroft tries to get up on the inside straight away of Danny Curl, and he's through. Side by side, they bang wheels. Ravenscroft's over the grass. Oh, devastating in the championship fight. They've had their moment straight away. Neither driver was prepared to give best, and Danny Curl has got into the lead. Now, Ravenscroft has kept going, I do believe. He's run over the grass, but he's lost countless positions. I'm trying to pick him out where he's ended up. He's down in the midfield. So where is Ravenscroft? He's down behind the number 12 of Eduardo Cosseteng. So he's a long way down the order as a result of that moment. But Curl is your leader, and in second place, it's Matt Armstrong. Turner is third. Up the inside, that's a move between the two Dan Holland Racing teammates. I think that's Nelson King passing Rory Hudson as they go up and over the crest. And a really heroic race this is going to turn into now. But Clayton Ravenscroft's not going to be happy, dropping to 23rd on the opening lap. So now it's all going to be about a fight back for him. But this is going to be a devastating fight in the championship battle for Ravenscroft. He could not afford to lose more points, really, to Danny Curl. And now he's lost a hell of a lot more than that. So, out of the final turn, and still Danny Curl leads the race in front of Armstrong. But here comes Oliver Hodgson. Hodgson's going to sweep by in a second place. Brilliant bit of driving from Hodgson. Got the perfect line out of the final hairpin. And now the PF International driver storms into second place. Great bit of racecraft from Oliver Hodgson. And now he's charging after Danny Curl. This is going to be an amazing straight fight now. In fact, Ravenscroft's plight is so drastic at the moment that Thomas Turner is actually set to take the official lead of the Drivers' Championship as things currently stand. Now that really does change things for a very tall order. But with Danny Curl leading the race and Ravenscroft down in 23rd, it's looking more and more likely that Danny Curl is going to get into a championship winning position. Here comes Thomas Turner. He makes the move on Armstrong into third position into the first corner. A nice move into the fourth lap there from Turner, and he gets through into third place. Now that puts him officially in the lead of the Drivers' Championship at the present moment. Although Ravenscroft is charging his way back through the field as quickly as he can. He's up to 20th. His next target is Cole Kilner. So as the drivers make their way through one by one, he's obviously going to find it pretty tricky to pick them off. But Oliver Hodgson is focusing on Danny Curl. So here comes Hodgson all over the back of Curl. He's really strong in this final section of the lap. So let's see what he's capable of as they charge back through. This will be a tough one. Here comes Hodgson on the back of Danny Curl. Up to the first corner. Let's see what he's capable of. He doesn't make the move there. But as they come back over the crest, he's going to be fighting very fit indeed as they get to the chicane. Hodgson's still all over the back of Danny Curl. Progress on Ravenscroft, still 20th. Kilner's got past Tom Wood. So it's Curl who leads. Hodgson in second. Thomas Turner is third in front of Matt Armstrong and Rory Hudson. Mark Kimber is next up in sixth position for Strawberry. Then it is Nelson King and Morgan Porter. Teddy Pritchard-Williams is ninth. And then Sean Butcher, Derek Morgan, Lawrence Westover, Brown, Marshall, Archie Tillett, Matthew Hudson and Cole Kilner in front of Thomas Wood and Clayton Ravenscroft out to 20th after his first lap incident with Danny Curl. Now, interestingly, there has not been any... Oh, Hodgson takes the lead. Hodgson makes the move on Danny Curl. So Hodgson into the first corner, grabs the lead of the race, and that is a stellar overtake from Oliver Hodgson. So the man who needs to get his championship season back on track to a certain extent is doing just that, and more so as he takes on the championship contender, Danny Curl, and takes the lead. Now, what can Thomas Turner do about Danny Curl? Because if Hodgson can get through, there's no stopping Turner. So Hodgson is out in front with Danny Curl still swarming all over the back of him. I have a feeling this could end up being a bit of a three-way fight as Clayton Ravenscroft has made up 2 places. He's now to 18th. Here comes Danny Curl again, trying to make the move on the inside of Hodgson. Hodgson holds the place, and he does so by bringing the kart just a couple of inches across the racing line. Ravenscroft now in his 17th as he makes the move on Jensen Brown into the first corner. So he's still trying to gain back as much time as possible. He's still fighting back as much as he can. But this is going to be a very tough fight, that is for certain, as Danny Curl will take no prisoners at all with Oliver Hodgson, nor will he with Thomas Turner behind him. Fourth is Armstrong, then it's Hudson, Kimber is there in 6th from King, Porter, Butcher and Pritchard Williams. Out of the hairpin. Some great overtaking moves at the front end of the field in this race so far. But Danny Curl's going to try again and Oliver Hodgson. Well, it looks to me as though he's actually trying to edge out the gap between himself and Thomas Turner. So edging Hodgson slightly further forward to aid his own bid for the victory. But Oliver Hodgson wants to lead this race and control the running up front. So Oliver Hodgson is your race leader and in fine form too. I'm sure that Paul Fletcher will be absolutely elated with his boy up front as they work their way through the chicane. Danny Curl in 2nd. 3rd is the O-plate. That is Thomas Turner from Armstrong, Hudson and Kimber. They storm through the left-hander around the top hairpin and onto the main straight once again. Danny Curl breathing down the neck of Oliver Hodgson. Another opportunity for the lead. No, he's not going to take it yet. He's got plenty of time still to tick down. Oliver Hodgson working hard here to hold on in front of Danny Curl. Meanwhile, Clayton Ravenscroft's fight back has taken him up to 16th place now, so he's making up more places. But this is a devastating problem for Clayton Ravenscroft in terms of his championship attack. Interestingly, though, I have not seen a single warning flag go out in this race so far. So as far as the officials are concerned, that was a racing incident. So the number 3 of Oliver Hodgson in front of Danny Curl. Curl trying to drop Turner. And as they get away from the O-plate, Thomas Turner needing desperately to stay on their tail. But Danny Curl is edging Oliver Hodgson away with him as they go up the straight. Is there going to be a charge for the lead? No. Danny Curl just sitting tight in 2nd place. He wants to tick down some laps before he makes his ultimate bid. So still a long way to go in this race, but he's got a game plan and he wants to stick to it. Oliver Hodgson in front of Danny Curl. Thomas Turner still right there in 3rd position. Armstrong under some pressure now from Mark Kimber, his teammate, who goes up the inside into 4th position. Nice move into the right-hander after the old pit straight. So Mark Kimber into 4th position, now with a chance to close up on the top 3. And that's a move up into 5th position from Rory Hudson. He gets the move on Armstrong as well, into that left-hander before the final hairpin. So a lovely overtake from Rory Hudson. But now Mark Kimber is up to 4th and Hudson is up to 5th. So Mark Kimber, the reigning European IAME champion, trying desperately to close up on Hodgson, Curl and Turner as they come through into the final few corners of that sector along the old pit straight. And that, of course, is where the paddock is and the dummy grid for the drivers is at that point as well. So Oliver Hodgson still hanging it out in front of Danny Curl and Thomas Turner. Kimber, Hudson. 6th place now Armstrong in front of Sean Butcher, who has climbed his way up into 7th place past Morgan Porter. Nelson King, Teddy Pritchard Williams, Louis Westover, then Lawrence Tillett, Morgan and Clayton Ravenscroft, who's up to 15th place now for the lead. Still Hodgson holds on from Danny Curl. Turner 3rd. Teddy Pritchard Williams is on the move now. He's climbed up to 9th place, so he's made a nice overtake or two there. Meanwhile, Clayton Ravenscroft has got the move on Archie Tillett. That puts him into 13th place now. So he really is picking them off one by one here, Clayton Ravenscroft. He's got past the relatively easy drivers from his point of view. Relatively, of course, being the term. They're not going to be very easy drivers to overtake. But Ravenscroft has picked them off one at a time. Now he's got the considerably tougher opposition in front of him. And the next man up is actually Gus Lawrence. So that's going to be a tough one. It looks like we could end up, if Ravenscroft makes another couple of places, he could even end up tying with Thomas Turner for points in the championship. But this is going to be a critical one for Ravenscroft. It might be a race he gets to drop, of course, but that's going to be critical. He can't afford to have any more bad races. So, from out in front, Oliver Hodgson leads the way from Danny Curl in 2nd. 3rd is still Thomas Turner. 4th, Mark Kimber in front of Hudson. And up to 6th has come Sean Butcher. Porter's up to 7th. Armstrong down to 8th. I wonder if he's got an issue with his tyres there, because Armstrong might have pushed a little too hard in the heat and has lost a bit of ground. Teddy Pritchard Williams and Louis Westover are now lining him up. Next up, that is Nelson King, Gus Lawrence and Clayton Ravenscroft. So some good battles all the way through. Oliver Hodgson has about 0.2 of a second roughly on Danny Curl at the moment as they run at the front end of the field. Thomas Turner still 3rd. Plenty of time for this race still to come into his own. Danny Curl just taking stock of the situation in behind Oliver Hodgson at the moment as they just keep each other nice and cool. No major dramas or causes for concern at this point up at the front. But Oliver Hodgson still running well here along with the 67 of Danny Curl, who runs in second place, who is making a late bid for the Drivers' Championship. Having missed the first round, he now has a great chance to win the British Championship despite that. So out of the final turn and across the start-finish line, Hodgson still leads from Danny Curl. Curl's going to make the move for the inside line to take the lead of the first corner, and he gets there. Danny Curl takes the lead with just under 5 minutes remaining. So Danny Curl retakes the lead for the Jade Racing team on the red and white Beryl Art chassis. He reclaims his top spot, which he has not lost over the course of this entire weekend. But Oliver Hodgson is still snapping at his heels in second place. He's still got time to make that lead come back to him. So they come into the third and final sector through that left-hand flick and then up towards the hairpin. Oliver Hodgson still working hard here on the back of Danny Curl. He's not going to let this win slide. He's just going to have to try another trick or two to hang on in front of Danny Curl. But Hodgson is still going to be resolute in his bid to retake the lead of this race. Meanwhile, Clayton Ravenscroft is going to get up the inside of Nelson King and move into 12th position. So Ravenscroft up into P12 now, and that will put him dead level on points with Thomas Turner, who is currently running in third place. So if it finishes like this, the lead is going to be tied in the Drivers' Championship between Thomas Turner and Clayton Ravenscroft, with Danny Curl still getting some massive points if it stays like this to elevate him up to 8th in the Drivers' standings on 449. That is taking into account that he has not done 2 of the races this year. That is a mighty score. So 4th position for Kimber, 5th place for Rory Hudson, then Sean Butcher in front of Morgan Porter. Up the inside, that's a very late overtaking bid to get into 8th position for Louis Westover. He tries to get past Matt Armstrong. They're still side by side, incredibly, and Armstrong just about hangs on in there in front of Westover. That's given Ravenscroft a bit of a helping hand, because now he's closed up on the back of Gus Lawrence, who is tight in behind Pritchard Williams. So now there's a 5-kart scrap for 8th position, led by Armstrong in front of Westover, Pritchard Williams, Lawrence and Ravenscroft. 8th down to 12th. So they will continue their squabble. But out in front, it's Danny Curl from Oliver Hodgson and Thomas Turner. 4th position for Kimber in front of Hudson, Butcher, Porter, and now here comes the 8th place squabble. Westover trying to go right round the outside to get into 8th place on Armstrong, and round the outside of both of them is going to be a tussle as Pritchard Williams tries to get through. Now Westover tucks up on the inside of Armstrong and again tries. Again Armstrong slams the door shut, but that has given Lawrence a move up into 10th place, Ravenscroft up into 11th position, and up to 12th has come Archie Tillett. So right down to the back of the queue has gone Louis Westover, and that's heartbreaking from his point of view. So he's got dropped down the order. Oh, sorry, it's not Westover who's dropped back. It is Pritchard Williams who's dropped back. And Ravenscroft gets up on 2 wheels to go side by side with Gus Lawrence. As he tries to get through, he's not able to. So he has to bail out of it. And now there's a genuine threat of Archie Tillett getting alongside. But Ravenscroft's going to go alongside Gus Lawrence. And he draws through. Westover finally gets his man up front to get into 8th position. And Ravenscroft is now up to 10th. Meanwhile, Hodgson is caught back up to the tail of Danny Curl. So the lead battle looks like it's going to rejoin. Curl in front of Hodgson. Hodgson still pushing hard here at Three Sisters. To the left-hander. Across the curb and into the flowing right hairpin. This is a really tough race in Senior X30. It's not going to ease up at any stage at all. Oliver Hodgson still going to push Danny Curl right to the limit. Thomas Turner in 3rd position. Good points for the championship on the offer. Kimber, Hudson, Butcher, Porter, Westover, Armstrong, Ravenscroft and Tillett from Gus Lawrence in 12th. So now they come up and over into the old pit straight, and Danny Curl still hanging on from Oliver Hodgson. Hodgson pushing hard as further back into the first corner. Rich Faulkner makes his move and gets through past Rufus Hunt. 2 Tony Karts scrapping away. 1 for the Strawberry Racing team, 1 independent in the name of Richie Faulkner. Through the hairpin. And Danny Curl still hanging on from Hodgson. Thomas Turner in 3rd position. Running beautifully well. And just keeping his pace nice and solid from these two. He doesn't have to win the race here. He's got a big advantage over Clayton Ravenscroft. But he's just banking in those points as wherever possible. So now Westover trying to get away from Armstrong. And here comes Ravenscroft. Now Ravenscroft has got back into the lead of the Drivers' Championship thanks to his fight through the field. He's made it as far as 10th. but he's going to struggle to make it further up than that, especially with the hotly contested Matt Armstrong in front of him. But he's going to make a late bid on the inside and gets there. What a move from Ravenscroft. Armstrong was not expecting that, and it's caused a little bit of an issue further back. Tillett gets through, Armstrong gets through. Lawrence gets through, I should say. Armstrong falls in behind Gus Lawrence. Meanwhile, with last lap beginning, Hodgson's got a little bit of time to make up on Danny Curl. 0.3 of a second over the line. So Danny Curl has been working very hard to build up a bit of a gap on Hodgson. He hasn't got much of one. 0.3 of a second, but that could be enough. Hodgson's going to need to make a banzai move if he's going to get past Danny Curl. And I think he's run out of time to do so. But Danny Curl is going to take a very impressive victory, and certainly in terms of his championship credentials, this is a big one to take him one step closer to actually get into the top 10 of the standings and get closer to the title. Danny Curl takes the checkered flag and wins at round 9 here at Three Sisters. An absolutely sensational race from the Jade Racing driver. Oliver Hodgson in second. Thomas Turner is third. From Mark Kimber and Sean Butcher, Rory Hudson is sixth in front of Morgan Porter, Louis Westover, and Clayton Ravenscroft, who comes back to ninth. And then Gus Lawrence in 10th place in front of Archie Tillett and Teddy Pritchard-Williams. Cole Kilner is 13th in front of Matt Armstrong. Then Derek Morgan and Jensen Brown, Nelson King and Caleb Marshall, Eduardo Cosseteng, and completing the top 20, it is Thomas Wood. Then we have Jack Gordon in front of Ben Hodge, Alexander Wang in front of Callum Driscoll, and then it is Matthew Hudson in 25th from Abigail Ross, Richard Faulkner, Rufus Hunt, Henry Ayers, Josh Graham and Lee Chamberlain. And would you believe, other than the non-start of Alex Pendlebury, everybody made it home relatively in one piece, and there was not a single warning flag to dish out through the entirety of that very heavily contested race. So very exciting, incredibly impressive racecraft from our drivers. But what a thrilling battle. Danny Curl takes another victory, and it puts him one step closer to clinching the British Kart Championship in Senior X30. He's going to do it at the last furlong, if you consider that he missed PF International. But if he keeps this kind of form up, nobody's going to be able to catch him, especially after that headache for Clayton Ravenscroft. That's going to help out Danny Curl's title aspirations no end at all. So, Curl from Hodgson and Turner, a very solid effort at the end of it all. But it's the IAME Cadet Final who's next, and there is a multitude of incredible drivers who are up for the accolade of race win, with all of them very evenly matched. Can Ella Stevens take a second win of the day following her first ever win in the British Kart Championship earlier on today? Or is it going to go the way of Harley Keeble, fighting to get on terms with Kian Nakamura-Berta in the British Championship, who leads the title at this stage? Harley Keeble took the heat win earlier on. Can he do it again here in this final encounter of the day?
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you. Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
I mean, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up a shot.
Fine. Then let's race.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Live, Stockport Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
A tough battle is certainly what you can expect from this IAME Cadet Final. We have seen some truly spectacular racecraft over the first two heats of the day. Harley Keeble took the first win in front of Ethan Jeff Hall, Vinnie Phillips in third from Harry Junior Burgoyne, Brandon Carr and Maximus Hall, with Archie Clark, Nathan Tye, Macaulay Bishop and the new recruit at Fusion Motorsport, Cathal Clark, in 10th position. A fantastic earlier heat. In the second heat, it was back-to-back champions in the, well, what is now known as the Danny Ricciardo Series, now, of course, it was known as the Birolite UK Series. Nathan Tye was the champion in 2018. He was second in today's earlier heat, but the 2017 champion, Ella Stevens, took the victory for the first time in the British Kart Championship earlier on, and that is a momentous moment for her. Vinnie Phillips, though, who finished third in that race, is the man who starts in pole position. It's going to be a really exciting battle as Vinnie Phillips, who managed to beat Kia Nakamura Berta, Ethan Jeff Hall and Brandon Carr across the line in the second heat in the top six, with Harley Keeble seventh, and then Archie Clark, Harry Junior Burgoyne, Maximus Hall and Cathal Clark finishing up. The IAME cadets head out onto the circuit, and this is the actual grid for the final, made up of two very close races. It's Vinnie Phillips in pole position from Ethan Jeff Hall second, Harley Keeble in third position from Nathan Tye in P4, Brandon Carr is fifth in front of Harry Junior Burgoyne, Archie Clark starts in seventh place, the original pole position sitter Ella Stevens is eighth, then Maximus Hall ninth, but championship leader Kia Nakamura Berta can only start 10th for this one. It's going to tighten things up big style in the Drivers' Championship. Then it is Cathal Clark and Macaulay Bishop, Lewis Werrell and Alex O'Grady, Finn McLaughlin and Eden Spanswick, from Lewis Bird and Sebastian Mins, Dan Sofronea and Roman Kamyab, then Jack Cunningham and William Antrobus, Joey Brown, George Edgar, Sky Parker and Hadi Mamasi. So the battle is going to be very tight indeed, with these 15 minutes plus the additional lap around this Three Sisters circuit. A very, very exciting race is set to take place, with all of the competitors now in a relatively reasonable position around the circuit. They will put themselves into their formation, and now that they have done, we should see a really exciting battle. And I'm sure one of the spectators on the sidelines watching on intrigue will be young Aidan Neate, who of course stepped up to the Junior X30 Brigade for the rest of the season. He was, or technically still is, second in the points standings, but his move up to Junior X30 means he can no longer fight for the title. So let's see what happens in this IAME Cadet final. Phillips, Jeff Hall, Keeble, Tye, Carr, Burgoyne, Archie Clark, and it's a fantastic start. Away we go. It's the left side of the grid that gets the better start. Ethan Jeff Hall cuts across, and unfortunately there's a little bit of an issue with so many karts span out to the scenery. A lot of karts in trouble, spinning and sideways and all over the shop. Looked to me as though Ethan Jeff Hall was trying to defend the position, and there was nowhere for many of the drivers to go, and a lot of them have ended up being spat out to the sidelines. So karts going in multiple directions there, but who is your leader? It looks to me like that is one of the strawberry karts. I think that is Ethan Jeff Hall who is out in front. He has held on to it. Then it's Harry Junior Burgoyne and Harley Keeble. So Keeble is there in third position. A very exciting start now of the drivers that have ended up falling down the order. It looks like Ella Stevens is there, Brandon Carr, Vinnie Phillips, the pole position sitter, Nathan Tye is in the mix there as well, as is the 22 of Cathal Clark. So many of the big names have tumbled down the order, but it's now Harry Junior Burgoyne who leads the race in front of Ethan Jeff Hall. They're squabbling for the lead at the moment, as up and over the curbs, over the crest, we've got three teams battling away for the victory at the front end of the field here at Three Sisters, and the battle really is raging here. Up to the hairpin after the old pit straight, and we've got a massive lead for the massive fight for the lead and a massive battle for fourth as well. Burgoyne, Jeff Hall and Keeble are having a sensational scrap. Harley Keeble is your new leader in front of Ethan Jeff Hall and Harry Junior Burgoyne. In fourth place, that is the 43 of Archie Clark. So Archie Clark has fought his way past Lewis Werrell and is now into P4. So several drivers have ended up having a big problem, including Macaulay Bishop, I noticed, who was at the back of the field. Former race winner, of course. He won at Lark Hall in the second final. So a lot of drivers trying to fight their way back up the order. But Harley Keeble is your race leader. Second is Jeff Hall. Third is Burgoyne. And as those three battle away for position, Archie Clark has got himself to the front of the next queue. Maximus Hall is up into fifth place now. The Gladiator has put himself up into P5. Here he goes for fourth on the inside of Archie Clark. Lovely move. Maximus Hall gets himself to fourth place. But Archie Clark is not done yet in P5. He will continue to charge his way over the curbs. In sixth position, that's still Lewis Werrell. And then we have the 29 of Finn McLaughlin in front of the 66 of Eden Spanswick, who's having an absolutely terrific run. and doing a grand job here. And up the inside, Harry Junior Burgoyne's going to try and go side by side with Ethan Jeff Hall and takes the place. Nice move there from Harry Junior Burgoyne. So the O-Plate gets in a second position. A lovely bit of driving still coming from the leaders up at the Army Cadet. But the big names who were at one stage fighting for the victory are now struggling even to get themselves back into contention. And it looks as though there's a warning flag gone out. It's to the GP plate. That is Kiya Nakamura Berta, the championship leader, has been given a warning. Now, I don't know if that's related to what happened at the start or whether that's related to what's happening on the circuit now. And Lewis Bird has been given a warning as well. So 2 drivers then in the war zones. And both of them will obviously receive their warning as they cross the finish line. But Lewis Bird and Kiya Nakamura Berta both trying to make up some big places and struggling at the moment as they are both outside the top 10. Here comes Harley Keeble leading the race from Burgoyne and Ethan Jeff Hall. 4th position, Maximus Hall in front of Archie Clark, and those two are trying to get away from Werrell McLaughlin and Spanswick. 9th position currently is the new boy, Roman Kamyab. What a debut he's having in 9th position. Roman Kamyab is having a fantastic race and is there in 9th position in front of Joey Brown, who's had an amazing start. That incident at the beginning of the race has definitely helped him out. He's up to 10th from 13 places back. He started 23rd. He's now in P10. So, Jack Cunningham is next, then Dan Sofronia. Sky Parker's doing well in 13th. Next up, though, is her colleague Ella Stevens, as those two battle away for supremacy. Up the inside, that's a lovely move from Dan Sofronia. He gets the move there on Cunningham. So Sofronia up into 11th place. The leaders continue to charge through. Some great racecraft in the midfield. Trying to keep an eye on all the overtaking moves is a bit tough as Ella Stevens now gets the move on Cunningham. And here comes Kiya Nakamura Berta up to the inside line. Oh, Cunningham chops across and gets back through on both Kiya Nakamura Berta and Ella Stevens. So a nice bit of defensive driving from Cunningham. We thought the move was all done and dusted, but he breaks late into the first corner, slices back to the inside, and makes sure he keeps in the position. So well done to Jack Cunningham. Not easy in the mid-pack to hang on to positions once you start jostling for the move. Another couple of overtakes in the midfield there. We'll notice who it is as they come through this time by. But as they run just outside the top 10 positions there, Dan Sofronia tucks in behind Joey Brown. Kiya Nakamura Berta and Ella Stevens are now trying to edge their way to the front of the race together. And we still have just under 10 minutes of racing to go. So a lot of time for them to make up, but a lot of time to make it up. So some really exciting battles through this IAME Cadet field as we've got several drivers from the front end of the field in the mid-pack at the moment, struggling to get back up on terms after a mass exodus into the first corner of several karts going sideways off the road, including several of the drivers who have been at the front end of the field this weekend. But Harley Keeble continues to lead in front of Harry Junior Burgoyne and Ethan Jeff Hall. 4th place is Maximus Hall, 5th is Archie Clark, and 6th is Lewis Werrell. We've got 4 different teams in the top 4 places. You don't say that too often in IAME Cadet. An absolutely heroic race so far as Kiya Nakamura Berta slices up the inside of his teammate Roman Kamyab, and that puts him up into 9th place. So the former leaders of the battle are definitely starting to make progress as they pick off one by one the drivers further back. Ella Stevens, by the way, is up to 11th now in front of Alex O'Grady. Sky Parker is under some pressure from the 2 teammates, Nathan Ty and Brandon Carr. Vinnie Phillips is 19th. All of the drivers will be so frustrated at the way they got spat out to the sidelines there. It was very unclear from my position as to exactly how that happened, but it looked as though they were all fighting for the inside line, and 2 or 3 of them just ended up rubbing wheels, and it just got very, very nasty. Several drivers getting spat out, and unfortunately that tends to happen at the start of a final when there's so much at stake. Drivers will go for a move, and for whatever reason the gap disappears, and it's just a case of picking your way through the traffic. Now here comes Harry Junior Burgoyne, having dropped Ethan Jeff Hall a little bit with assistance from Harley Keeble. So Ethan Jeff Hall is running well in 3rd place, but there's still plenty to do in this one. Lots of good overtaking still in the midfield. Sky Parker going wheel to wheel with Lewis Bird and making the move. So a good bit of confidence there from Sky Parker to hang on to her position. And we're reaching the halfway stage of the race now. And still Harley Keeble battles with Harry Junior Burgoyne as they run for the victory. 3rd position, Ethan Jeff Hall just needs to sit relatively close to them. He may get a chance himself. Maximus Hall running well in 4th position. 5th place, Archie Clark. 6th is Lewis Werrell. Eden Spanswick's making a good bid for Finn McLaughlin. But for 9th place, there's a great tussle. We've got Kia Nakamura-Berta in front of Ella Stevens. And the 16 is in there as well. Oh, it's a nice move through the field for, I think that's Jack Cunningham. And Dan Sofronia trying to go through. Alex O'Grady trying to hang on to the back of Ella Stevens as they go down the main straight. But now side by side, Sofronia and Nathan Ty. Nathan Ty's picking him off one by one like raisins right now, and he charges through up the inside. That puts him up at a 12th place. Good bit of a comeback from Nathan Ty. He was down in about 16th a lap and a half ago, so he's absolutely monstering his way back through. Clearly the red mist is working for Nathan Ty. Driving angry, he's booking his way back through the field. And still good overtakes in the midfield. Lots of good battles towards the front end of the field. Kia Nakamura-Berta has Ella Stevens all over the back of him. And then it is Alex O'Grady. Nathan Ty up to 12th now in front of Brandon Carr. And there goes Vinnie Phillips making the move on the inside line. So Vinnie Phillips gets the move there on... that's going to be Roman Kamyab, I do believe. So Vinnie Phillips now moves up to 15th place. Lots of overtaking in this race as a result of that first corner fracas. But it means, obviously, that we could get a very nice result up at the front end of the field. Harley Keeble and Harry Junior Burgoyne, the two teammates, are just checking out in front. They are starting to storm away up in the front end of the field. So they continue their charge forward. 4 teams in the top 5. Oliver Rowland Motorsport 1 and 2. Then Ethan Jeff Hall for Strawberry. For PMR, it is Maximus Hall in 4th. And the leading Fusion Motorsport driver this weekend is Archie Clark in the final, doing a grand job in P5. So the Fusion drivers really having a bit of a struggle at the start, but Archie Clark has taken the baton and ran with it. Here comes Harry Junior Burgoyne onto the back of Harley Keeble. They continue their charge forward. Still lots of great races all the way through the midfield. There's an overtake or two coming out of the final turn. That's one of the Fusion karts making up a place out of the final corner. That is the 22 of Cahal Clark, who makes the bid on Jack Cunningham and is now going for another move on the inside of Sky Parker and gets there. So some great racing from Cahal Clark as he tries to get himself back up to the top 10. But up at the front, it is still Keeble and Harry Junior Burgoyne. Teammates cooperating to get away until the final 2 laps, no doubt. Then they will fight for supremacy themselves. But there's also the question of, is anybody going to pick up a front fairing from their shenanigans on the first lap? Because if there's anybody who does, it could end up causing a bit of melee later. You never really know. So Keeble and Burgoyne stretching out in front of Jeff Hall. Archie Clark back in 4th place. He's made the move back on Maximus Hall. So Archie Clark has got himself back into P4 once again. So some very exciting battles up at the front end of this field. But Archie Clark doing a heroic job in this race, leading the cavalry for Fusion Motorsport. He hasn't done that too often this year, but he is the man up front with holding the team's honour. And he's not far away from Ethan Jeff Hall. Again, you can just look after the tyres in these closing 4 minutes. He might get a chance to go for the podium towards the end of the race. But with some support from Maximus Hall, both of them could get a chance for it. So obviously the racing continues on unabated here at Three Sisters in IAME Cadet. Here comes the battle for the victory. Keeble versus Burgoyne. They're going to have a few more laps still to run. But Keeble is going to hang on in front of Burgoyne. They're going to edge each other down the main straight to continue to pull away the gap. Maximus Hall working with Archie Clark at the moment to get closer to Ethan Jeff Hall. There's still a chance of a top 3 in the final podium here. Lots of drivers making up places in the championship fight. Keeble, Jeff Hall, Burgoyne, Archie Clark, Lewis Werrell, Vinnie Phillips, all set to move up places. But unfortunately, Macaulay Bishop being spat out to the back of the field means he's going to lose a few positions himself. And of course, Aidan Neat will, because he's now in the Junior X30s. So Harley Keeble and Harry Junior Burgoyne battling for the victory. And Archie Clark has got through to 3rd position. They've caught him. They've caught up to Jeff Hall. Maximus Hall through on the inside as well. So Archie Clark is now in 3rd position. Maximus Hall in 4th position. Brilliant bit of driving from these two. And now they continue to charge forward. Now, there is still a chance that they can close up on the drivers in front, especially if they start battling for position. Up the inside, Maximus Hall makes the move for 3rd, and Ethan Jeff Hall gets through into 4th place. Archie Clark back down to 5th. They are battling for the position, but I think ultimately they still need to team up for a couple more laps, because these two up front are unlikely to duel too hard. They will obviously try and bring home as many points as they can, But with both of them trying to gain big time on Kia Nakamura Berta in the Drivers' Championship and set 2, they don't want to throw away a big result. And for both men, a first and a second are very important results. So they will not be too silly in losing out a place. Maximus Hall has made the move at exactly the right moment as the Gladiator finds himself in 3rd position. So some really tough race battles for the drivers still. 4th position, Archie Clark with Ethan Jeff Hall assisting. They're racing for position now. And watch for the 3 drivers behind too. Werrell, McLaughlin and Spanswick are getting into it. Right round the outside, Ethan Jeff Hall storms through to 3rd. Maximus Hall and Archie Clark too busy battling for 3rd. And Ethan Jeff Hall storms past them both. Jeff Hall, absolutely majestic move. And he's there in 3rd position. So 4th is now Maximus Hall in front of Archie Clark and Finn McLaughlin. Here comes the Irishman in 6th place. 7th is Spanswick. 8th is Lewis Werrell. And 9th, the battle is Kia Nakamura Berta and Ellis Stevens. Set to complete the top 10 despite their problems at the start. But out in front, it's still Keeble and Burgoyne. 1 minute 22. Are they going to make a battle? No, they will stay 1st and 2nd. Ethan Jeff Hall's getting away clear in 3rd. It's up to Maximus Hall and Archie Clark as gets up the inside. Clark through to 4th place. So Archie Clark is in a 4th position. Now, those two have got to start working together. Ethan Jeff Hall is catchable, but not if Hall's going to make another move up the inside, which he can't. So now here comes Finn McLaughlin. He wants a piece of Maximus Hall now. Down the old pit straight into the right-hander. And Finn McLaughlin has Eden Spanswick all over the back of it. I'm so impressed with Eden Spanswick, I have to say. 7th position. He may have got that position by a bit of fortune, but he's maintained it by sheer class. So it's great to see him right up in the top 10 on merit, not drifting back in the pack, not losing ground, rising to the occasion and keeping it honest. Now we go into the penultimate lap. Keeble and Burgoyne still battling away. Here comes Eden Spanswick. He's trying to make the move on Finn McLaughlin into the first corner. He can't get there. Still up for grabs. Here we go. Last lap begins. And now Keeble's defending from Burgoyne. Here we go. 1 lap to race. They nearly squeeze each other out of the first corner. Meanwhile, Archie Clark has stepped up the attack to go for Ethan Jeff Hall. Maximus Hall's going to try and drive around the outside. He can't get there. Finn McLaughlin in 6th. Spanswick trying to get the dive around the outside. And here comes Lewis Werrell. Werrell's going to try and get in on the inside. Meanwhile, the leaders are dueling for the victory. Keeble staying in front of Burgoyne. Burgoyne trying to get the move for the victory as Ethan Jeff Hall has got Archie Clark up the inside into the hairpin. He holds on just as Werrell picks off 2 to get into 6th position. Now Burgoyne's going to try one last trick on Harley Keeble. And Archie Clark and Maximus Hall have one last chance to go for Ethan Jeff Hall. But I think it's going to be Keeble. He's going to try. Burgoyne's going to get one last run out of the final turn. They're going to go side by side. And it's going to be Keeble. Just gets there in front of Burgoyne. There's a little tussle in the back end. Ethan Jeff Hall gets 3rd in front of Archie Clark and Lewis Werrell. Where did he come from? 5th position for Lewis Werrell. Brilliant fight back in the last lap. Finn McLaughlin comes home in 6th place in front of Eden Spanswick. Unfortunate for Maximus Hall. I think he drifted wide in the final hairpin, and that dropped him back to 8th place. Kia Nakamura Berta is 9th. Ellis Stevens and Nathan Tighe fight back to 10th and 11th respectfully, but Harley Keeble hangs on for the victory. And in terms of the ramifications for the Drivers' Championship, that win for Keeble could not have come at a better time. He needed that in the Drivers' Championship to fight on terms with Nakamura Berta, who crosses the line 9th. And now we really have a championship fight on our hands in IAME Cadet. It looks like it could go to the wire now. A warning flag very late into the race there came from Roman Kamyab, who unfortunately drifted in the end to 23rd. But some really exciting battles all the way through to the finish of the race. Behind Nathan Tighe in 11th, Brandon Carr came home in 12th place in front of Alex O'Grady. Vinnie Phillips fought back to 14th. Dan Sofronea is 15th ahead of Cahal Clark and Lewis Bird. Hadi Mamasi and Sky Parker. Will Antrobus completes the top 20 in front of George Edgar. Macaulay Bishop in 22nd in the end. Roman Kamyab 23rd from Joey Brown, Jack Cunningham and Sebastian Mins. So a very tight battle all the way through to the finish. But Harley Keeble just hanging on by a matter of inches in front of his teammate Harry Junior Burgoyne. It could not really have been any closer than it was between them. 0.03 of a second at the flag. So a really great race. And now Nakamura Berta has 539 points in the Drivers' Championship to Harley Keeble on 528, Jeff Hall on 510, Burgoyne on 509, Maximus Hall has 504, Archie Clark now has 494, Lewis Werrell's up to 480, in front of Macaulay Bishop and Vinnie Phillips on 479, and Nathan Tye now creeps up into the top 10 on 465. And that is a very exciting race we've just witnessed. Hopefully there's another one of those tomorrow. But round 9 of the championship and IAME Cadet for the British Championships goes the way of Harley Keeble in front of Harry Junior Burgoyne and Ethan Jeff Hall. So far in Mini X30, it's been a bit of a heroic weekend with a lot of tough battles. Despite a difficult qualifying session we witnessed in the first heat, Oliver Greenall stormed back to take the victory in front of Luke Watts and Theo Makuris. In the second heat, Jessica Edgar held off Watts and Algieri, with Greenall coming home in 4th position. So that means that for the final, it's going to be Luke Watts and Oliver Greenall on the front of the grid. Who's going to take the victory? Your guess is as good as mine.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you. Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up? Are you ready to make more money in 1 year than your father made in his whole life? Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
But hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat.
Radio.
Hi, I'm Bruno Senna. You're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Chris Hoy, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
Hi, I'm Landon Norris, and you're listening to Downforce Radio.
You're listening to Race Day Live on Downforce UK, brought to you by Clapham North MOT, Motorsport Days Live, Stopwatch Hospitality, and Trade Price Cars.
So now there's just one race to go here today, and that is round 9 of the Mini X30 British Kart Championships. Here at Three Sisters, it's already been a ferocious battle in that category. We saw earlier on today Oliver Greenall pick up a victory in front of Luke Watts and Theo Makuris. Olivia Algieri 4th in front of Jessica Edgar after Ed Pearson unfortunately got a front fairing penalty that dropped him from 3rd to 6th. Gabriel Stilp in 7th from Evan Brown and Ashton Parsons, with early retirements from Aidan Lyne and Bart Harrison, who were battling for position. In the second heat, it was Jess Edgar who fought off an incredible battle behind of 8 drivers total. Edgar from Watts, Algieri, Greenall, Makuris, Harrison, Pearson and Lyne. And then it was Evan Brown in 9th in front of Ashton Parsons, with an early retirement for Gabriel Still. Now we go into the final, and it is going to be an incredibly close contest in that Mini X30 brigade, with Luke Watts trying to go from pole position to get the ultimate victory. He and his teammate Aidan Lyne were mighty quick in time qualifying, with Luke Watts managing to get 3rd in the timing screens in front of several drivers, but Aidan Lyne was the original front row man and unfortunately really struggled in both of his heats. He still starts in 8th position, but there's amazing speed from that young man, so we may well see him come through to the top spot in the final. He's going to have a very hard job of it, that's for certain. Luke Watts, though, has stayed consistent through these 2 races and still finds himself up at the sharp end of the dais. But Oliver Greenall, the GP plate and the championship leader, has a really strong battle ahead of him. In terms of the championship fight, on dropped scores coming into this race, Oliver Greenall has 379 points, 13 more than Theo Makuris on 366, who is 7 more ahead of Luke Watts. And then there is an amazing tussle further back, because you've got Jessica Edgar 4 points back from Luke Watts, another point back is Bart Harrison, and 10 points behind him is Olivia Algieri. So it's very tight at the top end of Mini X30, and the way things have been going over the course of the season, anybody in the top 6 can still be champion, because there's been to and fro's, peaks and troughs through the course of the season, drivers getting spat out and thrown off the circuit at several times. So now it's time for another hectic encounter from Mini X30. Luke Watts in pole position, Oliver Greenall in 2nd from Jessica Edgar and Olivia Algieri. Then Theo Makuris in 5th on the grid from Ed Pearson in 6th. Bart Harrison is 7th along with Evan Brown in 8th position. 9th is Aidan Lyne, 10th is Gabriel Stilp, and 11th is Ashton Parsons. Now I'm going to count them as they come through. because it looks to me as though there might be a problem for Evan Brown. He's got a transponder issue, so he's not... Excuse me. We all get the sniffles occasionally, I do apologise. Evan Brown was there in 8th on the starting grid, remains there as he runs around the circuit, but as far as Evan Brown is concerned, he's got a transponder issue, so he will now have to go through the circuit manually from the lap scorer's point of view. So now the drivers are forming up. Pole position for Luke Watts for the Cato Motorsport team. Alongside him, Oliver Greenall, then Jessica Edgar and Olivier Algieri, Theo Mercouris and Edward Pearson, Bart Harrison and Evan Brown. From Aidan Line, Gabriel Stilp and Ashton Parsons. This is going to be a really intriguing situation for all of the competitors to put into it. We're going to have a very tough season from the Mini X30 conclusion. But with 4 finals to go, the revs rise, they're very high in speed, and we're away racing already! Great start from Luke Watts. He holds the inside line. Oliver Greenall trying to come around the outside. And as they go through the first corner, no major dramas. Luke Watts holds the early advantage. In 3rd position, Jessica Edgar immediately starting to make an attack on Oliver Greenall. And Theo Mercouris has held his own there in 4th position, making the move on Olivier Algieri, his teammate. So now Mercouris is going to go straight through on the inside for 3rd. No, he's not. Jessica Edgar holds that inside line. No chance of getting through. 6th position is Bart Harrison, trying to make his headway through past Ed Pearson. And he's there. 8th place is the 48 of Aidan Line. Then it's Gabriel Stilp, Evan Brown and Ashton Parsons. So the battle begins in earnest in Mini X30. 15 minutes of this race, and it will be a tough one. Up front, Luke Watts holds the advantage. Jess Edgar working with her teammate as Mercouris goes for the inside of Edgar. Not able to get there. So he's squeezed back down to 4th position and does not lose too much ground. But Luke Watts has got Oliver Greenall all over the back. So there could be a really interesting challenge for the victory now as down the old pit straight they go. Watts still in front of Greenall. Mercouris this time makes them get Edgar. They've all stormed through. So they are 1st, 2nd and 3rd now. Greenall, Mercouris, Edgar. Watts down to 4th position from the lead in a heartbeat. Ed Pearson now trying to make his bid. Mercouris now going for the lead on the inside of Greenall and gets there, and Edgar through as well. So down to 3rd goes Oliver Greenall as Theo Mercouris hits the front and he leads in the Mini X30 final. Now, he's been here before. Today, in fact, he's had his opportunity when he was leading the majority of one of the earlier heats and then got into the wars. So, unfortunately, lost out his lead and his advantage. Now he's in front of Jessica Edgar. They go down the main straight. Both drivers trying to stretch out a gap. As up the inside, Algieri makes a bid to get past Luke Watts. They run side by side and Algieri gets the place. Watts eventually has to back down. So Algieri through into 4th position as a result of that overtaking move. Mercouris is your leader, Jess Edgar 2nd, Greenall 3rd, Algieri 4th, Watts down to 5th, and Ed Pearson in 6th place in front of Harrison. And then, of course, it is Aidan Line who runs there in 8th position in front of Gabriel Still. So the 9 drivers running very closely together. Evan Brown and Ashton Parsons losing a bit of ground. In fact, I think Ashton Parsons now has a mechanical problem. He's out of the race, unfortunately. So Ashton Parsons is out, and that leaves just 10 remaining. Jess Edgar pulling away with Theo Mercouris. Algieri trying to edge closer back in with the help of Oliver Greenall, as Luke Watts, of course, has slipped back into 5th position. So now Theo Mercouris and Jess Edgar control the pace of the race up front, and they continue to hold station in the lead. 3rd position is still that of Oliver Greenall, and the race is still mighty close up front. 4th position is still Olivier Algieri, but can he make the bid on Greenall, who has been so strong around this circuit this weekend? Struggled since qualifying, but he has fought his way back. 6th position for Pearson, 7th place is Harrison, then it is Line and Stilp. And here comes the move for the lead from Jess Edgar, side by side in front of Theo Mercouris, and gets through. So Jess Edgar takes the lead, a great move from her as she now leads the race. Jessica Edgar now in the lead of the race from Theo Mercouris, 3rd position Oliver Greenall, and Luke Watts has got back through in a 4th place on Olivier Algieri as well. So Watts back into 4th position. Mercouris is not going to take 2nd position lying down. He will want to try and get the move back on Jessica Edgar. They go through the S's, over the curbs, riding the inside apex curb, but they want to stay well off some of the others because there's a big dip in the road at various points on the circuit in the way to the curb, as it were. So Jess Edgar, Theo Mercouris, Third is Ollie Greenall. Fourth is Luke Watts. Still a good battle here between these drivers as they contest the victory in Mini X30. Jess Edgar's being a little bit eager to defend here. And we've still got 10 minutes to go. Makuris didn't seem like he was going for an overtake. And that could be counterproductive for Jess Edgar, because by defending, you come off the racing line and you lose a little bit of traction, you lose a little bit of ground. So that's going to be frustrating for Theo Makuris, sat in second place, knowing that if she's too defensive, they'll lose time to each other. And not only that, they'll also lose time to the chasing pack behind. So Theo Makuris just wants to run away up at the front of the field, with or without Jessica Edgar's assistance. But as they come out of the final hairpin, things are going to get quite tricky here. Back on the pace, Theo Makuris reeling down the neck of Jess Edgar. There's battles further back. As up the inside, Watts is going to go for third on Greenall, and Algieri's going to get back on terms with Pearson. So through into third goes Luke Watts. He makes the move on Oliver Greenall, and that was very nicely handled there by the YRDA youngster from the Young Racing Drivers Academy in third position. So Jess Edgar leads Makuris and Watts. Fourth place Greenall, fifth Algieri, sixth Pearson, seventh is Harrison, with Stilp and Line. Line in eighth position, Stilp in ninth, and both drivers are actually really struggling to stay with the 7 drivers up front at the moment. So they come out of the hairpin, and so far, so good for the lady up front. Jess Edgar leads the way. Theo Makuris second. Here comes Luke Watts. Watts has got a great run on Makuris. Up the inside in a second place, and Watts gets back into P2. So Luke Watts is on the rampage once again as he charges his way back into second position. Makuris in third. But I have a feeling Ashton Parsons, having rejoined the circuit, is going to continue to get as much track mileage as he can. And Ed Pearson having to defend now from a very tall battle further back, as Algieri is down to 6th position. 7th is Harrison. But Harrison trying to make the move up into P6. The field swarms its way through that final hairpin and now onto the home straight once again. But it's still Jessica Edgar in front of Luke Watts. Watts in second place. Is he going to wait around? No, he's not. Watts is going to make the move on the inside of Jessica Edgar and retakes the lead. Nicely done from Luke Watts. Very important as far as the championship points are concerned. Luke Watts wanting to gain more time on Theo Makuris in the Drivers' Championship and certainly gain a few more points too. Luke Watts knows he's got a good chance in the Drivers' Championship to move his way further forward, so he's got to keep the pace up. So as they come through again, up and over the curbs, still a good run from Luke Watts. A warning flag goes out this time, and it's for Olivier Algieri. So clearly that he's done something that the officials are not particularly happy about. He's in 6th position at the moment in front of Bart Harrison. So I wonder if he got involved in an incident on that lap. Here they come again down the straight. Jess Edgar maintaining second in front of Makuris. Oh, a big lunge from Pearson, and it didn't work as he tried to get on the inside of Greenall, and that's held him up big style. He committed to the move. Greenall was not aware he was making the move on the inside line, and that has really cost him dear in terms of his momentum. Now he's having to defend to hold off Algieri and Harrison. He really wants to work with them in this second half of the race that we're now in order to move his way further forward. Pearson's struggling. Algieri is blocked, and Harrison gets through into P6. So a great bit of tussling on the way through. A battle for the victory and a battle for 5th place now as Pearson has dropped off the back queue. Back off the queue, I should say. Here comes Edgar. Makes the move on the inside of Watts into the first corner, and he's there. So back into the lead goes Jessica Edgar. Goes up the crest, and Watts is there or thereabouts in second position, but still no change for third as Makuris hangs in there in third position. But Greenall is closing in on all 3 drivers. But Jess Edgar, once again, she's taken the lead of the race. And now there's not a lot that Luke Watts and Theo Makuris can do except set up the next move. But there's 4 drivers potentially battling for the victory here. Watts no longer leading. Jess Edgar has taken that accolade. And Makuris in third place in front of Oliver Greenall. They come off the final hairpin. We're going to see a really intense squabble down the main straight now. Here we go. Here's what's going to take the lead back from Jess Edgar. Well, Edgar's going to defend, and that's a little bit hasty considering that there was no move being made by Watts. So in fact, she's cost herself a little bit of momentum there by being a little bit too conservative. Watts and Makuris are now all over the back of Jess Edgar, and Greenall's not far away either. Up to the inside line they will come through the double left apex after the pit straight. with the left, right of the chicane, and then up to the left-hander of the final section before that long flowing right-hand hairpin. You blip the throttle, get back on the power and carry the speed around the final turn and onto the main straight once again. Jess Edgar is your leader. Luke Watts in second. Theo Makuris in third. Fourth is the GP plate of Oliver Greenall. And again, Edgar defends to the inside line to halt the charge of Luke Watts. That was never really looking like it was a race-winning manoeuvre. So again, that's caused a little bit of hesitation for Jess Edgar in front of Luke Watts. Third place Makuris. Fourth is Ollie Greenall. Then it is Pearson in front of Harrison and Algieri. Aiden line 8th. 9th is Evan Brown. 9th is Gabriel Stilt. 10th is Evan Brown. And unfortunately, Ashton Parsons has brought the kart back into the pits with more mechanical problems. So can Luke Watts get a run on Jessica Edgar this time as they come off the hairpin down the straight? Jess Edgar trying to hold the inside line as much as possible. That's better from Edgar. Holding the racing line without too much of a drama as Ed Pearson loses 7th place. Loses the places down to 7th, I should say. As up into 5th goes Bart Harrison. Up into 6th goes Olivier Algieri. So that's an important move for Harrison, who needs to get back on terms. And is up to 5th position as a result of that little jostle. But the top 4 are still nose to tail, ticking down the laps before they can go for their really big manoeuvres. Jessica Edgar leads the race. Luke Watts in 2nd. Theo Makuris in 3rd. Ollie Greenall just trying to stay with them at the moment in 4th place. He's there or thereabouts, but he doesn't want to be so close that he's in the wars when they start kicking off for the battle. But he also wants to be close enough that if something does happen, he can take the place away. Edgar, firm and resolute at the front end of the field. She is holding on to this lead very well indeed. And as they come off the crest, there's only a handful of minutes now left of the race. 2 minutes 47 on the clock, plus change, and then plus the extra lap, of course. So is this going to be a tough battle for Luke Watts to get past Jessica Edgar, or will he just pick his moment and make the move? Theo Makuris in 3rd position. Greenall in 4th. The two of them have hung back a little bit. Are they just looking after tyres a little? Ready for the end of the race. They don't want to push too hard, but they also don't want to ease up too much. Down the main straight. Watts trying to run with Edgar as they continue to break a little more cover. And still, Watts is not able to get through on Jess Edgar for the moment. Just a whisker over 2 minutes remain, plus the additional lap that will conclude the race. So they continue to battle forward onto the old pit straight. And Jessica Edgar still leads in front of the number 37 of Luke Watts. 17 and 37, 1 and 2, 74. Theo Makuris in 3rd place, and the GP plate is 4th. That is Ollie Greenall. Won the Kart Masters final in Mini X30 a few weeks ago. Still battling away. Luke Watts is all over the back of Jessica Edgar. She's not going to be allowed a moment's peace and quiet in this race as they come down the main straight once again. When is this move going to come? Not if this move will come, is the order that Luke Watts is trying to establish. As Ed Pearson goes well to wheel with Olivier Algieri. Nearly runs out of road in the braking zone for the first corner. You can't knock him for his determination as he continues to try and wrestle